What's up, pre-Chiro students? This is Dr. Ben Glass again. I'm a chiropractor, and today we have a chiropractic student connection out at Logan with student chiropractor to be, Renee Gentle. Thank you so much for taking some time. Can you just introduce yourself and just share a little bit about your background before chiropractic school, what you were up to, how you discovered chiropractic, and what attracted you to becoming a chiropractor?
Yeah. So thanks for having me. Like you said, my name is Renee Gentle. I'm a current trimester 9 student at Logan, so almost done.
Mhm.
Before chiropractic school, I was an athlete. I ran track in undergrad. I went to Houston Baptist University. I was a heptathlete, so I did the most. I had a
Yeah.
lot of practices a day, and I actually got into chiropractic because I got injured. I injured my back, and they sent me to a chiropractor. I'd never heard about a chiropractor before that. And when I went there, it was just a life-changing experience. I had went to PT and everything before, and nothing helped until I went to the chiropractor. And I just liked the interaction, how hands-on it was and everything. And from that moment on, I was like, man, this is how I want to help people. This is how I want to change people's lives. And it was a done deal after that.
Can you talk about the discipline that it took for you to be a college track athlete and how that carried over to your chiropractic sort of approach, like approaching chiropractic school from the perspective of a college athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to be very disciplined because 3 practices a day, working, still going to class, it was a lot, but, after a while, it got easy, it became a routine. It definitely helped carrying over into chiropractic school. It was hard at first because all the hours that we have to take, it was nothing compared to undergrad. But after I just kind of, I guess, put the 2 in the same category, I was like, "Okay, so you've done this before, just prioritize, do what needs to be done." So it definitely helped having that discipline for so many years and doing it in chiropractic school because chiro school is a beast.
For real, for real. Can we get into that? Talk about like some of the biggest challenges you faced right when you got into school, how maybe you overcame some of those challenges personally, and also maybe some surprises.
So I guess the biggest surprise for me was the hours, the amount of studying, I guess, that I had to do. I mean, in undergrad, you got by. I mean, you studied, but it's not like really studying. So when I got to chiropractic school, it's like, oh, you actually have to study. And if you don't, you're screwed. I think that was the hardest part for me was creating a study routine. That
Mhm.
was super hard. It took about a trimester to get one, but I got one and it worked out after that. Another thing was I wasn't really expecting to find like a family in school, like chiropractic school, you meet some amazing people and they all pretty much share the same passions as you, the same vision as you. So you really meet some awesome people in chiropractic school and you create lifelong friendships. And that's something I'll forever be grateful for. That's the best part for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I definitely reflect back on my time in school and just am super grateful for the people I got to engage with and study with and spend that time with. Can you talk about some of the activities that you guys spend time with that you and your friends or you and your colleagues have spent the most time practicing and then also observing some of the things that you really try and spend that extra time outside of class observing and watching maybe professionals demonstrate?
So thankfully at Logan, I got into SABCA pretty early. I was in try two, I think, when I got involved, and we have Dr. Tipler and Dr. E out there. So they have the palpation lab. So been involved with that since I was in try one actually. And I wouldn't have any of the skills I have now if I didn't step out of my comfort zone. I tend to be kind of shy and not wanting to do things. So I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and, joined SAPCA, went out there, and it was the best thing for me to do. Just going out there, they take the time to pour into students all the time, and it's just awesome. So
Hmm,
any new students that's watching this that will go to Logan, go to Dr. E and Dr. Tipler. They will get you right. They'll get you right.
hmm,
Um, as far as what we did, I I had to learn pretty early to take the time out for myself in Cairo school because I would get burnt out. So for me, I went to the movies by myself. I'd just go to the movies. Um, and it'd be a long day, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore. Go watch a movie." We did a lot of movie nights, game nights, study parties. As boring as they sound, they made studying a little better. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's pretty much what we did. Going to the pool in those summer tries.
What was so
Made it work.
special about Palpation Lab? What were you guys practicing? What was so important, or how was it so impactful on your development?
Um, because in school it's kind of you get the hands-on, but it's not very one-on-one. It's like you're in a class and they're trying to pay attention to you, but it's a lot of you. So there's no way you're gonna get that much of a one-on-one session. So I think that's what was more impactful for me. They were actually able to take the time to look at what I was doing and help me hone my skills.
Mhm.
And especially in try one. In try one, I didn't want to touch anyone. It was like, I don't know the anatomy. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to touch it. But it helped so much for them to tell me, don't worry about it. Just come up. We'll help you. We'll guide you through it. Let's just do it. So if I didn't do that in try one, I don't think I would have touched anyone probably until like try four. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the best part. And just knowing that it was okay to not know what's going on or not know how to do something, to just go in there and actually learn it, not being afraid of failure. That was the biggest thing for me, just doing it and going through the process.
Mm-hmm. And where are you at in the program right now? What's most important to you right now? Where's your focus at? Where's your involvement at?
Um, right now, I'm getting ready to be done, I guess. So I'm doing my Try 9 clinical rotation. And I guess the most important thing for me right now is kind of learning the business side of things, and then honing in on my clinical reasoning and stuff like that. But it's trying to figure out what I want to do after graduation. So it's a little scary. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to work through that. I think I've got it figured out, but that's pretty much what I've been doing, trying to pass the rest of boards and cross the
Mm-hmm.
finish line.
Mm-hmm. When you say it's a little scary, is it because you've recently expanded your context and really gained a deeper understanding of what it looks like in the real world and see that gap between where you're at and where you need to get to? Or is it something specific that you might be challenged by right now in your process?
Definitely that gap of seeing what I learned in school and then what's actually in the real world. But I think the biggest thing for me was the unknown. I'm like one of those people, I like to plan everything and know everything that's going on. So me not knowing what's going to happen with my future practice or anything, I think that's the scariest part for me. I'll learn the information during my preceptor, so I'm not really worried about that part. I'm at a great clinic. I've been learning a lot, and it's really been helping close that gap. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just stepping into the unknown for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you have any clarity on what that transition is going to look like if you were to kind of just illustrate it for us?
I think so. I just gotta let go and let God step into some faith, man. Just let it go. Know that I can't control everything. Um, it's just gonna be like I said. I'm at a clinic. She's a great mentor, and she's been helping me um, know what I need to do to step into the next step and opening up my own clinic and everything like that. So it's just finding someone to help you through it and not being afraid to ask questions about it, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it sounds like you're probably gonna start your own thing right out of school, or are you gonna? Yeah, that.
Hmm.
Yep. All right. Cool. So starting your own thing. What are some of the questions you're asking of yourself? Is it how are you deciding on where you want to open up at, where you want to be at, and what are some of the things that you're thinking your clinic is going to include? Do you think you'll have multiple tables? Are you going to have private rooms? Is it going to be semi-open? What are some things that you are somewhat clear on? I know you're still figuring it out, but if you were to just kind of reflect on where you're at with it.
So when it comes to choosing the area, I'm basically just looking. My passion is to serve the underserved Black communities of Houston. So basically, just finding an underserved community in Houston. That's where I'm going to go with. As far as what my clinic will look like, I'm definitely going to be family wellness chiropractor. Open concept probably is going to be a little easier to maneuver around with just being me to start with. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, I think the open concept, but an exam room. I'm going to start off small, so it's just going to be me operating it for a little bit.
Mhm.
But that's all I got so far. I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to get the funding and everything, but
Mhm.
it's coming together slowly.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I also started out on my own, and I got about 650 square feet. I don't think you necessarily need much more than that. I think that's a lot that you can grow into that. Believe it or not, I actually never left that space, and I share it with my partner, and we see plenty of people. We've been there for about 8 or 9 years. So, um, yes, you could get more space, but it just increases your overhead, which is not really necessary as a new grad to do to yourself, right? You've heard that probably over and over again. Keep your overhead low. Um, what are some of the seminars or some of the approaches that you've been most attracted to? You know how there's many different styles of chiropractic. You said family wellness. What are some of the skill sets that you've developed personally, or put some time into, or want to put more time into in the future to really step into that family wellness chiropractor uh, ready to serve?
So seminars, I didn't really go to a lot of seminars in chiropractic school. I'm going to be really honest. I probably should have went to more. I went to the Vote conference. I pretty much just go to like the really chiropractic conferences. Didn't really go to any seminars. As far as techniques and stuff, in school, I did take a lot of electives. So I did pregnancy and peds, which is something that I want to get better with. So that's going to be something I'm looking into post grad. Gonstead, I really liked Gonstead. So probably going to look to hone in on those skills too. Not too confident on those, but I liked it. And then of course diversified, nutrition too. We take nutrition classes in school, but it's school, you pump and dump a lot of information. So that's something that I would like to focus more on when I
Hmm.
graduate.
Hmm. If you were looking back at school, not to be super critical, but you've mentioned a couple of times that there's like just a lot of information that you have to consume, and then you kind of have to let some of that go because it's not as relevant to what you've observed in real world practice. What would you like to have seen more of, just reflecting on your experience and having gained so much interaction with these real world outside the school chiropractic office environments? Like, what would you have liked to have seen more of, or what do you believe students should focus on more, even if it's not offered by their school? What should they sort of go beyond to try and spend more time doing?
Um, Definitely adjusting. That's a big one. I mean, we do a lot of setups in school, but if you can find a doctor that'll oversee you doing actual adjustments, that'll help a lot. I know for us, we get to do the setups in class, of course, but not many times we get to actually do the thrust. So when we get to clinic, it gets kind of lost because it's like, well, if you didn't have someone to help you through that, then you didn't really get much adjusting practice. So when you're in clinic, you're scared to touch anyone because it's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen,
Mhm.
Another thing that's been a shock for me is insurance. Insurance has been kicking my butt in my clinical rotation. We learn about it in school, but not enough. So that's something that I would say to look into yourself and dive into it more just to get a better understanding of it, because I was confused when I first started at my clinical rotation. I was like, I have no idea what that means. I've seen it before, but don't really understand it. So that's something that I would say to look into for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. No
And of
doubt.
course the business side of things too. I mean, we get a little bit in school. That's something I wish that school would have more of. I mean, they know that we're basically entrepreneurs. Chiropractors usually go out and open their own business. So that would be very helpful if we got more. business side in school.
Hmm. No, 100%. How would you describe like the entrepreneur side of yourself that's developing within, and like what do you see an entrepreneur uniquely positioning them at? Like, how does an entrepreneur express themselves in the real world from your point of view, given you're about to graduate and step into this role of being an entrepreneur? Like, what does that even mean? How can we contextualize that for prospective students?
Being an entrepreneur, man, that's self-made for me. Going out there and getting to it. You got to be able to sell chiropractic. It sounds very pitching a point, but I mean, that's basically what you do. A lot of people, they haven't heard about chiropractic before, especially in the community that I want to serve. So I need to be able to sell chiropractic. I need to be able to tell them how chiropractic can help them and do the things that they no one's doing for them, you know. For me, that's what it is. It's just doing what others aren't, putting myself out there a lot because I mean it's out of my comfort zone for sure. This lifestyle is way out of my comfort zone, but I've been growing a lot with all the leadership roles and stuff that I got in school, so it's helped a lot. And you just got to step out on faith and do it.
You're in the right mindset. I agree 100%. You got to step out in faith and know that what you offer is super valuable, right? And if you can relate to people and speak in a language that's similar, I think one of the things that happens in chiropractic school is people kind of lose themselves a little bit. Like, who you were before school is not who you're graduating as, but at the same time, you have to stay connected to your roots, who you were, who you are. What you feel comfortable with, what you can relate to, and that you've had experience with before chiropractic school. Because chiropractic school is, you're in like a container. You don't have a lot of real world experience that you're gaining. You have a lot of like knowledge and wisdom and perspective to share, but then you're going right back into your community that you grew up in, that you came from. And I'm just speaking from experience. You're going to do fine if you can really still relate to those people that you grew up around or that you came up with, that, you know, are still people you care about. It hasn't changed, right? Nothing's changed. So it's really interesting to make that transition back with this new sort of armor, this new sort of skill set and identity and passion, right? Like, you're really enjoying becoming a chiropractor because you see how you
Mm.
can help people. How could you describe the profession to people, and like how kind of excited you are to go back to your community and share this profession that you never really knew existed growing up?
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited, especially with like my friends. We all ran track together at HBU, and none of them really heard of chiropractic. So every time I come home, it's like I'm teaching them something new. So I get a lot of practice with them, and of course my family. We're from Belize, so chiropractic is definitely a new thing within my family. So it's always teaching them something, and that helps a lot getting to practice with them before I actually have to go out into the real world and really tell people about chiropractic and how it can help, you know, how it can help before you have to go get surgery and get placed on all these pain meds, and how it can help your health overall and help you sleep better, help you walk better. It's just like breaking it down into small things that relate to them is what I find that helps a lot. Like, there, I can be telling them what chiropractic is, it's the art, philosophy, all that stuff, and they're like, okay, but what does that have to do with me? How can that help me? So once I just break it down to what's happening to them, then they're like, oh, yeah, let's do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Yeah. You being from Belize, are you familiar with the Garifuna culture?
Hmm. Half my family there, Garifuna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so so my best friend growing up was Garifuna. When I graduated chiropractic school, I was on fire for chiropractic. I just loved it. I wanted to share with everybody. So I went down to Roatan and La Ceiba in Honduras. I served at a clinics. I took care of the grandmas in the community, the older women, and then I went to the island, and I got an opportunity to serve in a community clinic on the island, and then I would bring the money that I earned from the people that live, the locals, to the poorer side of the island. And meanwhile, I just showed up on the island with just my table. I had my chiropractic table in my hand. I would walk down the street and just talk to random people and offer them this service and introduce them to my way of thinking about the body and how it's self-healing, self-regulating, and how they could benefit from an adjustment. Let me just introduce them and connect with them. And so anyway, just showing up with my table, I was able to make these connections, go on the radio, the TV, and then I celebrated the Garifuna lifestyle as it used to be, right? Because we need to get back to nature. The lifestyle and the language is being kind of watered down by a dependency on the mainland for food, and them not seeing themselves as being abundant and having so much rich culture, but just seeing what people have on TV. And so anyway, long story short, we had a 3-day festival. We planted like 100 trees. We had the elders tell stories in the native language. We had the young people do the drum circles and do a reenactment of Joseph Satuye bringing the Garifuna to where they brought them, and you know, kind of overcoming the situation they were in. And anyway, we filmed all of this on DVD, and then they lost the footage, and it broke my heart because it was about to be a legacy builder of like, how do we keep that culture alive? And I just want to thank you for bringing chiropractic to the people you bring it to in the future and keeping the culture alive, because the people you've surrounded yourself with, I know, are going to keep you, you know, keep you aligned and keep you centered on like just sharing chiropractic kind of pure. And anyway, I just want to share that with you just because it's just a side story, but it was one of the biggest accomplishments and things that I'm most proud of in my whole life. And anyway, side note,
That's
but
awesome. That's awesome, man.
yeah. Um, yeah, Dr. Sebi, I was at his house before I went out to the island, and it's so sad what happened to him. But um, can you just maybe talk about your family and the roots that you have, and kind of how chiropractic really does relate to um, sort of the culture that you came from? Like, how can you relate like just the principles or the basic practices of chiropractic to um, just the way of thinking of the people that you grew up around, because people think it's so foreign or so different, but it's actually very much connected to just like the way of thinking of a lot of people, whether they realize it or not. No.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Growing up, we grew up in the city, so Belize City. But I guess one way I can connect it is they do believe like the body heals itself. They don't believe in going to the doctor and all that stuff. They try all this natural stuff to get treated. Like I always make fun of my dad because I'm like, Dad, I have like my throat is swollen. I need to go to the doctor. You don't have to go to the doctor. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. So they definitely do believe that the natural way of healing, the body heals itself. And that's probably one of the connections that I can make to chiropractic is helping. I know with them, they don't like going to the doctor. I'm like, well, just consider me a specialist. You won't have to get surgery. You won't have to get on pain meds or anything. I'm just going to heal you, help you heal with my hands. I'm going to turn your power on so that your body can heal itself, you know? So that's how I do it in this house, because they're going to be like, oh, well, I'm scared. I'm scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think just without it being that story being about me at all, I just think that you seeing yourself in others, and you seeing yourself in the people that you care about, and the community that you care about, you being able to make a community level impact as a chiropractor is something that I really kind of wanted to share there. And yeah, is there anything else that you're interested in just sharing with the prospective students to invite them into this pathway?
Um, just, I mean, like a lot of us, we find chiropractic through some unconventional ways, probably getting hurt or something like that. But it's just, I guess, do your research on your own and figure out what type of chiropractic you're attracted to. Every school has their different ways of practicing, their different philosophy and stuff like that. That's something I wish I had known before I applied to chiropractic school. I probably still would have went to Logan, but it would have been useful information to have before applying instead of just applying because it is a chiropractic school, you know? And just when you are in the program, take time for yourself. You cannot take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. And that's been one of my biggest lessons recently because I'm like always there and I'm always serving people and never take time to serve myself. So now I'm trying to create those boundaries like, okay, you need at least this day to yourself to do some self care. So that's a big thing. Start doing that in chiropractic school. It's tough and you're going to be tired, run down, you're going to cry, frustrated, angry, all that stuff. But make sure you take time out to yourself to just remember your why. Go to the real chiropractic conferences, and they will always get you back on track and remind you why you chose chiropractic and why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Renee, I want to thank you so much for sharing with the students, sharing your perspectives, your insights, your passion. I could feel it. I'm excited. If I could support you in any way, please let me know. And if students, if you need support from Renee in any way, I'm sure she's here for you. So
Absolutely.
we'll definitely post some sort of connection point, whether it's the IG or your current, you're about to start this clinic up. So we'll have some info available. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful
Thank
day.
you
And
for having me. Thank you so much.
yeah.